Hi everyone, it's Kay from the Paper Shed. No, we're not doing clusters. We are doing and talking about folios today. So it's Kay from the Paper Shed. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I just wanted to go over a few things that came up after I made the Ink-Stained Archives folio. And I'm just doing this while I'm nattering. So we're not making these. I'm just having a bit of a cluster day today, getting rid of some of my scrap pieces. So I'm just making up some tabs and clusters so I can just have a play in a little while. And while I was doing it, I was thinking about the folio. So I thought, well, I need to sort of understand it and see how we can better it, because I wasn't happy with the spine setup. I decided I needed to sort of explain the size of the spine and how that affects everything. And I did touch upon it in the video. And I've had lots of messages saying, you know, I don't understand this or I don't understand that, and could you explain it? So I've sort of done a little bit of research and I've come up with a different option. Now, I wanted to come up with a folio that you didn't need to cut, that you could just score and go, and give you a space in the back and a space in the front so that we can embellish as much as we want to fill that space, because that was what the problem was with the Ink-Stained Archives folio. It was too restricting. I just felt like I could have done a lot more with it if I'd have just had a little bit more room. And towards the end of the video, I touched on the subject of making it an inch spine, and I checked whether you could do that with the base method, and you could, but it didn't change anything in the middle. You still only add an inch instead of half an inch to play with in the middle. There was a lot of pages that you couldn't actually, you know, fill up too much because of the bulk. So I've had a bit of a play, and we'll put this away now. Let me just do a few more. I have had a little bit of a play. I've come across how to sort of do it to give you half an inch in the back and half an inch in the front. There are pages that do touch, which means that you can't overly embellish those pages, but you can still use them. They're still usable, like it was in the folio. So I've sort of done another. It's exactly the same. The base pages are the same. We use it 2 sheets of A4 paper, and we achieve, or I achieved, what I set out to, which was to create 2 spaces rather than 1 large space, because on 1 large space you can only embellish heavily on 2 pages, and there is 8 pages to your folio. So it was a bit difficult. Folio is a book or manuscript consisting of large sheets of paper folded in the middle to make 2 leaves or 4 leaves. In other words, just pages like we do in journals. Or it's a sheet of any written or printed material, especially in a manuscript or book. So it's just a leaf of paper. A folio just means a leaf of paper. Well, we're going to be using 2 leaves of paper and we're going to be making 8 sides to your folio. So I'm just going to pop this away just for a second, and then I'm just going to show you what I mean. So I showed you this one towards the end of the video yesterday, and came up with the inch. So that was giving you inch, inch, inch. And then when you fold it up, and I'll have to do this sort of weirdly now because I've got folds everywhere, but when you fold it up, these 2 pages meet and the 2 back pages meet. So it just gives you a big piece in the middle, which means that's the only piece that you can fill. So you can pop your journal in there and you can embellish on this page or that page or whatever it is that you're doing. So I didn't achieve anything by making my spines an inch, and that's what I was trying to achieve. So what I decided to do is see if I could work out how to get this page into the middle so that you've got a page here that you can fill up, and another 2 pages there. I just want to be able to create 2 compartments in here so that I can fill 4 pages, not 2. Okay, so we've got that. So I have sorted myself out. Now I've got an extra piece because I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do it. So this was the base method. So we scored 2 A4 sheets of paper or US sheets of paper because it works with both, this method. And I wanted to be able to get my 1/2 inch in the middle. So we've got 2 compartments. So if I fold this up, this is our leftover piece. Then we've got our first 1/2 inch and our second 1/2 inch, and then the last one is 1 inch. So this one doesn't touch this front page. Okay, but what you have got is you've got 1/2 inch which you can fill up here, you've got 1/2 inch which you can fill up there, and these 2 pages are the only 2 pages that meet together, where you can't really overly embellish these 2 pages, which happens to be page 2 and page, is it page 4? Yeah, the back of page 4. Okay, so you just need to understand your construction and then you can really work it out. So you could put your journal on here, for instance. Could you? Yeah, you could. You could put your journal on this spine, or you could put your journal on this spine. This is your extra bit of flap, by the way. And you can put your journal on that page because it can go on either side of these spines, and it can go on this spine because you've got room at the front here for a journal. So you could actually put your journal there. So that was how, this is what I actually meant. To give you 2 compartments to allow you to over embellish if you want. Not over embellish, but you know, embellish the way you want to embellish. But then I thought, well, what if we had, instead of having this flap here, because this flap is just going to, I can either fold it that way and give my spine a bit more thickness, which would be great if you was putting your journal on that page. And then I thought, well, this one really doesn't do anything. I could do really with that being at the front. Okay, now you can turn that either way and make it into a pocket if you want to, but I wanted it at the front. So what I did was, for my first sheet, I created my flap first, so that when I attach these 2 together, okay, I'm just going to leave that there. I haven't got this flap anymore. I'm just putting this one on the top of this one. And then when I fold it up, like so, I have my thickness here, which is the front of my journal. Okay, so that'll be how that looks. And then this would just get glued and give you an extra bit of thickness on the front of your journal. And I preferred it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create it in card and give you the measurements, so that if you want to redo your folio slightly different way, but using exactly the same method and getting 2 compartments so that you can fill it more, then that will help. So I'm going to go away, do that. Okay, so I'm back. I've cleared away and I'm just going to go over the base measurements for your folio bases so that you can construct these with no problems whatsoever. And I'm going to just do it the same as what we did before, and then I'll show you the difference between the 2. So you need to score this is for the 2 flaps to be left on your right hand side of your paper. So 4.5, 5.5, 10 and 10.5. That's your first sheet. Okay, then on your second sheet you need to do sorry for me stretching over, I can't see. So you need to do 1/2, because that's where you join them. Okay, you need to do 5, 5.5 and 10. and that becomes your second flap, okay? That's how we're going to do it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to join these two together here, and that gives you your folio. So let's just do that. Just going to use, just for quickness really, rather than glue, because then it's instant. I'm just going to use some tape. And I just need 2 pieces of that down there. Okay. Where's my bookie? Just take that on. Those in the bin. And then I'm just going to get this one. I'm going to bend this in though, because it'll be easier. I should have bent the other one in as well, just to give it some flexibility on that join. And then I'm just going to butt it up. I'm going to level it up at the bottom. Level it up at the bottom with the bottom, and then butt it up right up to that score line, like so. And then I'm going to bend these pieces in. Okay. And as you fold it up, you'll see. That's the first one. And this one is your got by the pocket, or you can glue that down if you want a bit more security. And then so as we fold that up now, you can actually see what I mean. You've got an 1/2 inch here, you've got a 1/2 inch there. That's just your flap, so that'll either be glued down, made a pocket, or whatever you want to do with it. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pages now that you can, you know, embellish heavily onto without it causing a problem with the width of your spine. You've got 2 pages there that meet, and then the other 2 pages is obviously your front and your back cover, which you can embellish anyway, because so you can embellish 6 pages this way really heavily, whereas the way that we did it in the ink stained archives folio, you could only actually heavily embellish 2 pages. Everything else met, like these two, which created a strain on the spine, which is what I was trying to achieve. So I hope that makes sense. If you wanted it so that, let me do that again for you, but do it with, yeah, let me just do that again for you so that I'll do it with the flap on the front cover. Now, I don't necessarily need it on this cardboard because I'm using quite thick board, not board, card. But yeah, so the first one that we want is slightly different now. The second sheet will be the same. Your second sheet of paper will actually be exactly the same as your second sheet on the first lot of instructions I gave you. Let me just show you what I mean. The second sheet of your folio will be exactly the same measurements. That doesn't change. The only thing that changes is your first sheet of paper, and that's so if you want your flap on this side to give your front cover a little bit more strength on that edge, which I think it's more useful this side than it is this side, which is why I thought about it. So if we do the front sheet, I'll have to do the second as well and construct it so that you understand where I'm going with it. So I have to do it the other way around as well. So your first sheet, if you want your flap on the left, is 1/2 inch, 5, 6, and 10.5. Okay? And we're going to turn that round because that's the way we're going to use it. Then your second sheet is exactly the same as the first lot of instructions. So it's 1/2, 5, 5.5 and 10. So it's just a little ½ inch difference there because we've got an inch spine on this side, but a ½ inch spine on this side. So I'm just going to do those now. And I'll swap that for you, and then you can see the difference. It doesn't make any difference to the spine because the spines are the same. What it does make a difference to is your front cover and where your first flap is. Okay, just quickly do that. Okay, so this time we're putting the two, we're going to put our glue on your second sheet on that first ½ inch mark. And then what we're going to do is add that ½ inch mark that we've got on our first sheet to this part, and then it eliminates that middle flap. It's just really down to preference. So I'm just going to line that up at the bottom and then butt that up to that score line so that it doesn't interfere with your fold. And then when we fold it, we've got a flap here which can be used as your closure, or you can actually use it as a pocket. You then fold it in, and then this comes round here like so. And that gives you a little bit more strength on this edge. It also gives you a pocket on your front cover if you want one. It's exactly the same. Okay, the spines are in the same place. It's exactly the same. The only difference is that your flap now is on your outside cover instead of on the inside of your spine. That's the only difference. Okay, so there we have it. So I hope you understood that. I'll just give you the measurements again. So for your flap to be on, if you want a flap on the left and a flap on the right, that's the easiest way to explain it. So if you want a flap either end, your measurements will be, for your first sheet, you will need it to be a ½ These are your score lines. ½ 5, 6 and 10.5. And your second sheet will be ½ 5, 5.5 and 10. Okay? If you want your two flaps to be here and the same as the folio that we did for ink stained archives, your measurements will need to be 4.5, 5.5, 10 and 10.5. And then your second sheet will be the same. And it'll be a ½ 5, 5.5 and 10. So it all depends where you want these two flaps, depending on what suits you best. So there's those measurements. Then I thought, what if we wanted to do a really simple folio, no cuts, using exactly the same A4 or US paper sizes. You'd need 3 sheets, but I want it to be more like a journal rather than a much thinner folio, because this length here is 4.5. So that's what you're working with when you use these folios. With this one, you're using a ½ sheet, so your folio will be this size. Okay, so it's a full sort of journal size, if you like. And I liked this because you could do so much with it, and we'll go over that in just a second. So first off, I'm going to just show you how to score this folio. And you need to score your first sheet of paper. You need to score 2.5, 8.5, 9, 9.5 and 10. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 score lines on sheet 1. On sheet 2, you need to score at 3, 9 and 9.5. 1, 2, 3 score lines, 3, 9, 9.5 on your second sheet. And on your third sheet, all you need to do is score right in the middle. So score it right down the middle. And I can never do that on here. I don't actually know why. So I'm just going to line it up in the middle there and score right down the centre. Okay, so we'll just burnish all those in. I probably don't need the scoreboard anymore, so I'll take that away. Problem is I'm black on black now, so you can't see. So sheet 3 is just a half sheet, fold it in half. Your second sheet is your 3, your 9 and your 9.5. Okay. Okay, that's your second sheet. Your first sheet is 2.5, 8.5, 9, 9.5 and 10. Okay, so on your first sheet, this one here, with your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 score marks on it, what you need to do is these 3 last lines, so the spine side, you need to bring that one up in the middle, so that you create, or you're creating a wedge inside there. Okay, so you'll have a score line still left. Your last 3 score lines you need to make into a V, like that, so that it sticks up into your folio. Okay, and we'll stick that down. I'm going to use tape because it'll be quicker and easier. So I'm just going to get my tape and stick that down. And just get these on. Those ends in. And then what I'm going to do is fold it over and glue those down. Burnish that all. Okay. Okay. Now your second sheet, which was your 3, your 9 and your 9.5, we're going to fold this piece in. So fold your 3-inch piece in, and then I'm going to glue that right up to this wedge. Okay. Shall I use tape? It'll be easier, won't it? Or quicker. Oh, I don't actually know how quicker it is, to be fair. But we want one on the bottom because you'll have you need to secure this end flat. So we want to do the bottom and we want to do both sides because I want to create a pocket there. Okay. I would normally glue this. I wouldn't normally use tape, but you do whatever you want to do. I'm only using tape in this instance just to make it a bit easier for you to see where I'm gluing and to make it an instant bond. Okay. I'm just going to take those bits off. Just going to secure those ends down so I've got no glue on the outside. second sheet, your 3-inch flap, and you want to put that up to the score line, line it up with the end of your paper, the end of your card, and then bring that in all the way down there. Okay, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to just burnish those in there. Okay, so now I've got a pocket on the back here. Okay, and that then is your folio. Now, there's lots of things that you can do with these flaps, and we'll go over that in just a sec. I'll just get the construction out of the way. What I want to do with this one, the one that's in half, I'm going to secure it into place on my wedge here, so that I've created an extra page into my folio. I'm going to do that again with tape. So I'm going to do it this way, and I'll just do it right to the very bottom. Okay, and turn it over. I need to just burnish that in. I've gone a bit too close to my spine bit. Okay. What I'm going to do first, though, before I do anything else, is I'm just going to trim these corners, and I'm just going to go down to the score line on one side and from the score line up on the other. Okay, and just make it easier for my page to slip onto it, because I'm going to create a pocket as well with this one, a top loading pocket. So if you want to put a notch in this wherever you want to create your pocket, then that's fine. If you're not creating a pocket, then don't worry. So I'm going to take one part off to start with, because my page is in half. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line that up with the bottom into that score line, like so. Okay, and then I'll burnish that in. Now at this point you could decide that you want to just leave it like that as a flap to go in to create an extra page, or you can create a pocket by folding that down. So I'm not going to put mine down because I don't know at the moment what I want to do. So I'm going to leave it as a flip out. I might create a pocket, I don't know. And then that's your actual folio base. So there's lots and lots of things that you can do with this one. Let me just burnish that down. Okay. And I'll burnish that one down because that's a bit. So there's lots of things that you can do with these flaps. You can leave them, you can add pages to them, you can put them down as pockets, tuck spots, or you can just literally glue. You can glue this one down fully if you want to add this as a extra security for your front cover. This one has a spine on it, so I would tend to use this one as my fold over. So that's going to be my closure. And then this one, again, you can add another page if you want to. You can put it down as a pocket. You could just add something else on there that it doesn't fit, like a frame. So there's lots and lots of things that you can actually do with this folio. Now, because of where the spine is, which is here or there, if you want to put in papers, then you've obviously got to put them in either on this part here or on this part here, because there's no spine on there now. I like that. I mean, you could even cut that down and create an envelope. There's so many options for this folio. It's unbelievable. I can't wait to work on it, to be honest. So that's the third one with 3 sheets of A4, no cutting, just score lines. And I'll go over the score lines again for you if you want me to. And yeah, that'll be us talking folio. So first piece of cardstock, 2.5, 8.5, 9, 9.5 and 10. That's your first lot of score lines on your first sheet of A4. On your second sheet of A4, you want 3, 9, 9.5. And on your third sheet, you're just going to make it in half to create an extra page. Okay, so it's not overly thick, but it's something that you could carry daily, I think. It's something that you could pop in your bag, especially if you've got schedules and things to keep up on. This would be ideal because you could do so much with this, with it being the size that it is. So I'm hoping that you've enjoyed our little chat about folios and that it's made some sort of sense to you. So that's our 2 folio, well, it's 3 really, but these are the 2 that we've created. They are bases, and again with this there is so many more options with this one, with your flaps. You can add your flips and flaps anywhere you want to on this, and the same with this one. So I hope you can take it away and find some inspiration to create a little folio of your own. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.